Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, DNS woes, when the old does a better job than the new. Shadow IT, the portable apps lockdown. Just tell him to turn off his lamps. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. DNS woes, when the old does a better job than the new. I came in at work one evening when I was still working graveyard-Y shifts, when I was relatively new senior staff. Big panic, our DNS are acting up something fierce. Half of frontline agents' calls begin with "I'm having 404 errors on all websites." Boards are red. Managers are running around like chicken with their heads cut off. I sit down and take a couple calls to gauge how bad it is. Pretty bad. Networks has asked to be invited to senior staff's live chat to evaluate the damage as they try to figure out how all of our DNS are haywire. Now, I started at this ISP many years ago. Back when I was frontline support for internet only, half my calls were about dial-up issues. I'm thus well aware we have separate DNS servers for dial-up users that almost nobody uses anymore. There's quasi-zero load on them, but we still had / have them completely separate because entropy uber alles. /u/bytewave, okay guys, I took 3 calls, and I already have 12 unresolving websites. Did anyone test them on the parallel dial-up DNS? Silence. My cue to get to the lab and do it myself. All of them still work fine, news I bring back to happy senior staff. Interim senior, great news. I'm sending an email now to Frontline to tell them they can tell their customers to manually configure their customers' DNS to the IPs of the old dial-up DNS. /u/bytewave, no. Don't do that. Last thing we want is manually configured DNS on the user's end. Ensures the problem haunts us for months. Interim senior, sorry, already pressed send. This is why interim staff is a bad idea. /u/bytewave, alright, I'll send new instructions. We don't want customers to manually change this. We want networks to redirect all traffic to dial-up DNS until this is solved. I'm on it. So, creating much, unavoidable, confusion, I mass email directives to ignore the previous email, which is a sure way to ensure the frontline and dozens of subcontractors will get it all wrong, but it was the best thing to do given the circumstances. Then we're moving on. Networks, how may I tell you we'll need more time to fix the DNS? /u/bytewave, senior staff, bytewave. Why not set up an IP redirection to all traffic coming into our main DNS to our old dial-up ones? Tested them, the old stuff is working and not affected by the issue. I just need your call on volume. If they can handle it, we can fix this in 3 minutes. Networks, theoretically, they could hold pretty well until we sort this out, but /u/bytewave, then do it. Redirect all the load to the old ones, they were sturdy and they'll hold up. Can't be any worse than this. We got 511 internet calls waiting, queue is up to 55 minutes despite the fact every caller is getting a polite explanation of the issue every 90 seconds. Networks, still, that's a major redirect, I need management approval. Sigh. I push mute and turn to my old boss. /u/bytewave, sweetie, there's someone I need you to yell at. We were pretty tight-knit and with current boss too, but wouldn't call him sweetie. 2 minutes later all traffic is rerouted to old dial-up DNS. The calls waiting are evaporating minute by minute. Few minutes later. Frank, incomings are dying down, dial-up DNS are holding up. Old boss, thank you for the great work. Now if we could switch focus to figuring out why on earth all our main DNS went crazy, that'd be great. I gaze at the nearest work contract. /u/bytewave, would be happy to, but we both know that's network's job description, right? I grin. Old boss. True enough, thank you for the great work everyone, relax and grab some coffee. That's when you know you can trust your boss. She was a former union employee who manned senior line for a decade, but despite accepting a promotion, she still was by the work contract. That's how managers win respect here. All of Bytewave's tales on TFTS. Shadow IT, the portable apps lockdown. New tale in the Shadow IT series. Feel free to read the previous ones for context first. Almost getting caught. I don't need no stinking power reporting while avoiding detection. Walking in the office one morning, and as I walked through the restroom to the floor, two of my colleagues rapidly flanked me with worried looks on their faces. This is from the era when Internet Explorer did not handle tabs, a feature which we all considered essential at the time, and therefore senior staff largely relied on Port App Firefox to get the job done. Given we had no admin access to our official workstations, portable apps had been getting stuff done for years. Amelia, you know how they want us to only use IE? Everyone's running port apps, but they started running scans on network drives for them. They want to wipe them out and hand out disciplinary letters. Of course. If you can't get your IT job done properly, finding a scapegoat is a priority, and no target is better than someone who found an acceptable workaround. /u/Bytewave, really, a crackdown on portable apps? I take a moment to feel bad for the frontline, which I won't be able to help out, and then focus on what I can do for senior staff. /u/Bytewave, we're somewhat short on space, but I can get a new drive up on the server. We'll host the portables there. I'll have everyone access it through a web drive-like interface through the private portal. It'll take me a few hours to set it up. Scorch earth your network drives. Did anyone tell the boss yet? Amelia, yeah, he's annoyed too, F***CKIE6. If you can set this up, I'm sure he'll be happy. He said to give you a heads up. Nobody's expecting you to take calls today. And this is how it usually happens. IT decides to crack down on something we need for no good reason, and we react because the show must go on. Within minutes I'm setting it up. Through our private server, senior staff will now have access to space where they can host portable apps away from IT's eyes. But there's the disk space issue, and my strict RAID backup policy isn't helping. I need to plug in another large drive. I walked downstairs to the main floor and hit the department's secretary. /u/Bytewave, need an extra drive, off the books. ETA? She's one of very few outside our group that's in on it. In fact, much of her work depends on our unapproved tools and protocols too. She tells me there's a couple extra drives in the office supplies room, which cabinet, and reminds me the door code, that I know by heart anyhow. None of this would work if not for the fact people like her are willing to play ball, because everyone knows how horrible things would be otherwise. Soon after, the private server has the expanded storage I needed. Later that day, everyone in the know had cleaned up their official network drives, and has access to a brand new drive where everything works, even as IT tries to lock down all portable apps. Firefox and tabs lives on, at least for us. The next day. Boss, we're in the clear. IT seems to think everyone panicked and took down their port apps. /u/Bytewave, yeah, everything's great. Frontline can't even have tabs in their browsers anymore, but hey. At least we controlled the damage somewhat. And to this day, IT only officially supports IE, which admittedly got better over time, and cracks down on all other browsers, while senior staff, and a couple people we can trust over at Networks are plugged into a virtual drive where you could run Netscape for all I care. They don't see it, and all is well in the world. I'd still like to know who approved an IE-only policy at a time when that browser didn't meet our minimal standards for productivity. Either way, the lesson remains: if IT screws up beyond recognition, we have to pick up the pieces, for better or worse, because things must get done whether they like it or not. Welcome to Shadow IT. All of Bytewave's tales on TFTS. Just tell him to turn off his lamps. One quiet evening at home, taking senior line calls as usual for telco.ca. Teleworking that week, as I preferred not to share the flu I had with the rest of the office. Bitewave, senior line, Bitewave, you may send me your ticket. Gary, hi Bitewave, this is Gary at the North Shore offices. My customer has problems with his TV remote every night, it's just not working right now, but we already changed the batteries and the remote. Twice. I look at his file, check who had the bright idea of sending a second remote for fun. Subcontractor logic, of course. If a solution fails to fix a problem, apply more of the same and pray. Bitewave, I see you said right now that the remote works at times and at others it doesn't? Is the customer always sitting in the same spot and pointing at the set-top box? Gary, yeah, I checked the basics. Nothing unusual in regards to the box either, but it's just not working. Bitewave, tell the customer the location of the IR receiver on the front panel, have him walk up to it, put the remote directly in front of it, about a centimeter away, and try changing the channel. Gary, be right back. Basic interference test. Coffee refill while I hold. Idly browse customer's history. I notice all the calls this customer gave us, quite a few have evening timestamps. Gary, yeah, that worked somehow. I don't understand though, it's a brand new remote and new batteries. Our tech tested it earlier at normal range. Bitewave, yeah, we have interference. You said this happened in the evenings, right? I want to know exactly how that room is lit. Every source of light in range, lamps, globes, strobe lights, types of lights, positions versus the STB and the couch. More holding. Holding for tests is half what I clock on the job when taking calls. No matter how basic the instructions, it always take longer than it should to perform. Gary, yeah, there's 4 lamps in the living room, 2 on the wall with the TV, and the home theater system, 2 on the opposite walls. 3 are lit right now. The customer isn't able to identify which kinds of lights they have though. Bitewave, okay, then have him turn off all 3 lamps, sit on his couch and try again. Gary, but what do the lamps have to do with? Bitewave, I'm willing to bet 1 or more of these is fluorescent and the source of the problem. Why do you think he always calls us in the evenings about this problem? Gary, but why would? Bitewave, I'll explain when we don't have a customer on hold. Just tell him to turn off his lamps. He proceeds to do so, and miraculously, no more problems. Gary, alright, the customer tried switching them off one by one and found the one causing the problem. He'll be swapping it with another lamp. This is the first time I heard of this. Is this a new bug with our cable boxes? Bitewave, no. Google something like fluorescent lamp interference remote and you'll find articles dating back from the 90s on resolving issues related to high-frequency fluorescent lighting systems interfering with infrared TV remotes. It just doesn't come up often enough as a real-world issue, so everyone forgot or never learned about it. Gary. Huh. Thanks. Bitewave, thank you for choosing Senior Line, and have a good evening. All of Bitewave's tales on TFTS.